Have you ever thought of taking one of those DNA tests for fun? Well, don't, because I did it for a laugh, and it ended with me questioning everything I knew about my own family. Let's just call me Jess. I'm 29. I live alone in a tiny flat with too many plants and not enough sleep, and for the last 2 weeks I've been pretending I'm fine. My friends think I'm ghosting them. My fiance thinks I'm stressed from wedding planning. Truth? I can't tell anyone what I found out. Not yet. Maybe not ever. It started as a joke. My fiance bought one of those ancestry kits during Black Friday. Half off, free shipping. We'd seen those cute commercials where people learn they're 12% Scottish or find a long-lost cousin in Canada. I thought it'd be fun to compare results. Something harmless. When my results came in, I was sitting in bed eating cereal out of a mug. The email said, "Your ancestry results are ready." And I clicked it like it was nothing. Little colored bars popped up. English, Irish, Scandinavian. Cool. Fine. Then I scrolled down to the DNA matches section, expecting to see my parents listed at the top like everyone else's screenshots on TikTok. Mom's name was there. 50% match. Normal. Dad's name wasn't. At first I thought maybe he hadn't uploaded his sample correctly, or maybe the site was glitching. I refreshed, logged out, logged back in. But under parent matches it said in small, calm gray letters, "No parental relationship found." I stared at those words until they blurred, and that was the moment my whole life stopped feeling like mine. I grew up in a town where everyone knew your name, your dog's name, and who you were dating before you even did. My childhood was quiet. Church on Sundays, bikes in cul-de-sacs, fireflies in jars on summer nights. We weren't rich, but we were steady, and Dad was the center of it all. He was the kind of man people trusted instantly. The neighbor who fixed your porch light, the guy who never missed a parent-teacher night. Every Saturday morning, we'd go fishing at the lake near our house. He'd pack peanut butter sandwiches, hum old songs from the radio, and tell me stories about when he and Uncle Tom were my age, always getting into trouble, always covering for each other. Uncle Tom lived a few streets away, but it felt like he was always around. Loud, charming, a little too funny sometimes. He'd show up unannounced with takeout or beer, teasing Mom about her cooking and calling me kiddo like I was still 5. He had this larger-than-life energy, the kind of person who filled every room he walked into, and Mom would laugh every time he cracked a joke, even the ones that weren't really funny. I used to think that's just how family worked. Everyone close, teasing, comfortable. Looking back, maybe it was too comfortable. Sometimes I'd notice Dad's eyes flick toward Mom when Tom was around. Just a glance, quick but sharp, like he was trying to read something in her expression. But it always passed. We'd go back to eating, laughing, pretending nothing heavy lived under the surface. Dad wasn't perfect. He'd lose his temper fixing the car, burn dinner trying to prove he could cook. But he was my person, the one I called first, always. That's the part that breaks me now, because when I took that DNA test, I wasn't searching for secrets. I wasn't chasing ghosts or drama. Because obviously it was a glitch. There was no universe where my dad wasn't my dad. The same man who taught me how to drive stick, who built my first bookshelf, who carried me off the soccer field when I broke my ankle, that man was definitely my father. I just wanted to see where I came from. A simple little map of colors and countries. I had no idea that map would redraw everything I thought I knew about my family, or that one click would turn love into a question I still can't answer. When I first saw that message, "No parental relationship found," I actually laughed, like an awkward snort through your nose kind of laugh. I refreshed the page, logged out, logged back in, still there. No parental relationship found. I even checked the FAQ section on the website, because surely this must have happened before. Some bug, some database issue. DNA mismatches are extremely rare, it said. If this occurs, recheck the sample source. So then I thought, okay, maybe I screwed it up, maybe I contaminated it. I remembered sneezing halfway through spitting in that stupid tube and thought, yeah, maybe that's it. Or maybe Dad didn't submit his sample correctly. Maybe he ate before collecting it, or forgot to seal it right. He's meticulous, but hey, people make mistakes. I pulled up his profile on the app. It showed sample received, processed, analyzed, no errors, no warnings, just nothing connecting us. That's when the laughter stopped. I started Googling like a maniac. DNA test false results. Parent mismatch errors. Can ancestry sites make mistakes? Page after page told me the same thing. They almost never do. Still, I convinced myself there had to be some logical explanation, some clerical error. Maybe they mixed up samples in the lab. Maybe someone else's spit ended up with my name on it. To double check, I compared my results with my mom's 50% match. Perfect. Undeniable. And that's when the question I'd been avoiding finally formed in my mind, heavy and slow. If my mom's my mom and my dad's not my dad, then who is? The thought alone felt like betrayal, like I was cheating on him by even entertaining it. My chest tightened with guilt. I could almost hear his voice, that calm, steady tone. Jess, you're overthinking again. But science doesn't care about feelings, and no amount of refreshing that screen made the result change. I stared at the screen until my reflection blurred into it. Just me, wide-eyed and shaking, trying to make sense of numbers that didn't lie. I told myself I wouldn't panic until I had proof. Real proof. Not some digital result that could have been a mix-up. So I ordered another kit. Paid for express shipping. Overnight delivery. When it arrived, I followed every single instruction like it was gospel. No food, no drink, no talking. I sat at my kitchen table shaking, staring at that tiny plastic vial. And then I spat in that tube like my life depended on it, because in a way it did. The second test came back 3 weeks later. Same result. No parental relationship found. I stared at the screen so long I forgot to breathe. It was like the world went quiet. No sound, no movement, just those words burning into my brain. I think part of me still hoped it would say, "Oops, our bad. Turns out you are related after all." But science doesn't do apologies. It just gives you the truth and leaves you to deal with it. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Dad's face, the crinkles by his eyes, his crooked smile, his rough hands when he'd fixed the car. I kept trying to find him in me. The same nose, the same jawline, the same something. But all I could see was a stranger I suddenly didn't belong to. How do you look your father in the eye when you're not sure he's your father? How do you hug him without feeling like you're lying? For a week, I tried to act normal. Dinner with my parents, movie night with Dad, small talk about work. Every time he smiled at me, it hurt. Like being loved under false pretenses. Finally, one night, I couldn't take it anymore. Mom was in the kitchen, folding laundry at the table, humming to herself like the world wasn't crumbling. I walked in holding the printed results in my shaking hands. "Mom," I said quietly. She looked up and smiled. "Hey, honey. I need to talk to you about something." The smile faded when she saw the paper. I watched the color drain from her face. "What's that?" she asked, though I think she already knew. "It's my DNA test. I did 2, and they both say..." My voice broke. "They both say Dad's not my biological father." For a moment, she didn't move, didn't blink, just stared at me like she'd seen a ghost. Then she shook her head, quick and sharp. "Those tests make mistakes all the time. You can't trust them." I stepped closer. "I checked twice. There's no mistake." Her hands started trembling. She pressed them to her mouth, eyes filling fast. "Mom, please, I need you to tell me the truth." And then she broke. Full-on sobbing, shoulders shaking, voice cracking in pieces. I'd seen her cry before. Funerals, movies. But never like this. Never with that kind of shame. "Jess," she whispered through tears. "You have to understand. It was complicated." I felt my stomach drop. What was complicated? She looked at me. Mascara streaked down her face, mouth opening like she wanted to speak but couldn't find words. Finally, she did. And that's when she said the name I never expected to hear. She said his name like it burned her tongue. Tom. For a second, I didn't even process it. "My Uncle Tom?" I asked, half laughing, waiting for her to tell me I'd misheard. But she didn't laugh. She just nodded once, eyes full of something I couldn't name. Guilt, shame, exhaustion, maybe all of it at once. "It was years ago," she said, "before you were born. Your father and I were going through a rough patch. We took some time apart." Her voice shook. Tom was there for me. I was lonely, stupid. It was only one night, a mistake. The air went cold. I couldn't even form words at first. Just stared at her, trying to make the math work, trying to picture my mother and my uncle in the same room. In that way. My stomach twisted until I thought I'd be sick. "You found out you were pregnant after that?" I finally whispered. She nodded again. "A few weeks later, your father and I had gotten back together by then. He assumed you were his." Her voice cracked. "And I let him." I took a step back. The room felt too small, too hot, like the air itself was choking me. "So every time he hugged me," I said slowly, "every birthday, every graduation, every time he said, 'I'm proud of you,'" my voice broke. "He didn't know?" Tears streamed down her face. "No, your uncle doesn't know. Or at least, I don't think he does." Don't think? My head spun. All those holidays, family dinners, the way Uncle Tom would wink at me, call me his favorite niece, the way Dad would laugh at it, never realizing how close that truth really was. 30 years of silence. 30 years of a secret buried under Sunday dinners and family barbecues. Mom reached for my hand. "Jess, please. You can't tell your father. It would destroy him. He's been through enough." I pulled away. My hands were shaking so hard the paper crumpled between my fingers. Destroy him? He was the one living a lie. I was the one built out of one. She wanted me to protect her secret, the one that rewrote my entire existence. But it wasn't hers anymore. It was mine. I couldn't stop thinking about him. Uncle Tom. Every childhood memory replayed in my head like old home videos. His laugh, his teasing, the way he'd always slip me extra birthday money when Dad wasn't looking. I used to think he just loved being the fun uncle. But now, every gesture felt loaded, too careful, too affectionate. I needed answers. So a few days later, I drove to his house. I told him I needed to talk. He opened the door, surprise flickering across his face, but something else too. Hesitation. Like he already knew what was coming. We sat in his living room. My hands shook as I pulled out the printed DNA results. I didn't even have to say a word. His smile disappeared before I could unfold the paper. "I always wondered when you'd find out," he said quietly. The world tilted. "You knew?" He looked down, shame written across his face. "Not at first. But after you were born, I started to notice things. The timing. The way your mom looked at me sometimes. And then, the resemblance." He gave a sad little laugh. "You've got your dad's eyes." "Well, kind of." My throat went dry. "You never told him?" He shook his head. "I couldn't. Your mother begged me not to. It would have ruined everything." I stared at him, the man who'd been my uncle, my blood, my secret father, and felt the weight of what silence can steal. 2 men. One raised me without knowing the truth. The other knew the truth and never raised me at all. After that, I shut down, stopped answering texts, ignored calls, let birthdays and family dinners pass like they belonged to someone else's life. Dad noticed, of course. He kept asking if something was wrong, his voice soft, patient, the way it always was. I'd look at him and feel my throat close up. Because how do you look at the man who gave you everything, knowing he wasn't the one who gave you? Mom kept pleading with me to stay quiet. "Please, Jess," she said one night, "we can't undo what's done. It would destroy him." Maybe she's right. Maybe silence is mercy. But every time I see him smile, I feel the truth screaming in my chest. A secret burning holes through every good memory we ever made. Do I protect the man who raised me, or the truth that broke me? I never told him. Maybe someday I will, but not now. He still calls me his kiddo, still texts me pictures of the garden, still signs every message with a heart emoji he pretends not to know how to use. And when I see his name light up my phone, I answer. Because whatever biology says, he's my dad. The man who stayed, who showed up, who loved me without conditions or DNA. I wrote everything down. The tests, the dates, my mother's confession, sealed it in an envelope at the back of my closet. Not as proof, but as a reminder. a record of what silence costs. Some nights I take it out, run my fingers over the edges, and wonder if knowing the truth was worth it. Because some truths don't set you free. They just rearrange the cage,